The FIFA World Cup happens every 4 years, and this time has happened again and has come around to Qatar, where it's made massive headlines on and off the field. But one of the biggest things about this World Cup is also an end of an era. End of an era between two players who have shared the spotlight in world football and are arguably the two best players that have ever played the game. You guessed it, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. This is the end of their era when it comes to footballing glory, as it will be the last World Cup these two ever share and play. But with that being said, on the other hand, Qatar has made many noise of how they got the World Cup and how they built the World Cup. And then much more noise on top of that on how they run their country and their views of the Western view. But with that being said, the biggest question is led, should Qatar be hosting the FIFA World Cup? Simple answer, no. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. No, for simply the fact of how they got the World Cup and how they built the World Cup. Now, we will be speaking about that, but we'll also be speaking about the politics off the field and what people's thoughts are and how it's inhumane to even be having the World Cup there because their views are slightly different to the Western world. So we'll be speaking a lot about that. But before that, I poured too much. So I pour myself a drink because I want to stay nice and relaxed. So grab your drink, whatever it is, sit down, sit on the couch, whatever, put the speakers on, put the earphones or headphones on, and let's get into should the World Cup be in Qatar. Now, I already said the short answer is no, but there is more to it. The big answer is what we're going to get into now, explaining what's actually happened and why there's so many stories. So I think the best one we can start on with is how Qatar got the World Cup. I think to no one's surprise that it's fraud, because it is FIFA, and in all fairness, FIFA should just be called fraud at this time. The amount of money they take just to have certain events in certain places is beyond me. Now they've introduced rules like for time wasting, there's more at a time, and players are playing 15 to 20 minutes extra a game in a World Cup that shouldn't even be happening right now and is only going to ruin the second half of club football. However, Qatar has given money to FIFA and this World Cup was going on. But if you were in the footballing world, you would have known this already because it came out very quickly and already questions will be made as soon as this happened. But yet again, it is only when it fits a narrative that do people speak up. And we will get more into people's narrative a bit later. But either way, they paid FIFA for the World Cup. It came out saying they will have the World Cup in summer. A lot of people questioned, how the hell are you going to have a World Cup in the middle of the year in the desert, right? But people then got on board because they understood that if you look at Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the UAE essentially, that they have the ability, the engineering and the architecture skills to create a World Cup in the searing hot desert. And they even said it, we will have closed-in stadiums that can open and close the roof, stadiums that will have state-of-the-art air cons. And everyone was like, okay, this maybe could work. Pass on a few years, the date changes, becomes a mid-season freaking World Cup. And the questions were starting to be raised again. Well, this shouldn't even be here. Fraud is not allowed, shouldn't be allowed, but it is FIFA. Unfortunately, the problem is when FIFA is the world governing body of world football, it's hard to really try and beat around it. World Cup is the sport's biggest event. It is the end of an era event this time around because the two greatest players of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi are playing. So I'm there for the football. I'm not there for the politics. I'm not there for the things surrounding. I'm there for the football. I hope that FIFA and Qatar get taken a task for their fraud. Now, the second thing is how they built the World Cup. And how they built the World Cup was on the backs of migrants, literally. The reports came out that thousands of migrant workers have died trying to make this World Cup a reality. And that in itself is an atrocity, and Qatar should be taken a task. But that being said, not only have there been deaths of migrants working, the reports came out of the poor working conditions, the poor accommodation, and the fact that they've taken away their passports as a way to force them to work for barely any wages. In fact, no wages at all. It is atrocious that they got the World Cup, but it's even more atrocious and inhumane on how they built the World Cup. So I really do hope and I really do think that FIFA and Qatar get taken a task for the fraud, more FIFA than anything else, but more than that, on everything else, that Qatar gets taken a task on how they built the World Cup. It really is good. It really is good. Would have enjoyed a Guinness, but Castle Milk Stout will do. So now this part we're going to get into is the things surrounding the World Cup. And before I get into it, I want to say that I'm going to do my best to give a very clear opinion on a whole situation regarding Qatar's views on Western views. And by that I mean the whole LGBTQ community and what their thoughts are. We'll get into it. But before we get into it, I just want you to understand that these are my opinions and my thoughts. If you disagree with them, you're more than welcome to. If you want to comment down and disagree, by all means do that. But please understand, we can have a communication. We can agree to disagree very politely and very communicatively. Communicated what? Just communicate properly, and instead of arguing, let's have a wonderful conversation, because that's what it is for the comment section. I love to have a conversation with you guys. And also don't forget, just above the comment section there's a red subscribe button, so yeah, you can press that. It's quite nice. But what is actually going on around the World Cup? What is happening? So to put it simply, in the Western world, in the 21st century, our views are that everyone should be able to be who they are, be what they want to be. There should be no boundaries on that. If you're gay, you can be gay. If you're lesbian, you can be lesbian. If you're trans, you can be trans. And that is a very valid point and very true. However, Qatar, like many other Middle Eastern countries, like majority of the UAE, they're very strict. They live by their laws of religion. They live by their culture that has been stemmed in them for thousands of years. The Islamic State's nothing wrong with them, and I love their patriarchy, if I could say, to stick to their religion and to their beliefs to a T. Now, from what I've heard and everything, when you go to the UAE, there's very few places you can even have alcohol, right? And well, I enjoy a few drinks, so I would definitely try and go and find the place that I'm legally allowed to drink. Nothing wrong with that, right? Because that's what you do. There's a video I found on TikTok that I will show now.
We never leave, Japanese never leave rubbish behind us. We respect the place.
Not for the cameras. Yeah, not for cameras. Not for cameras. Wow.
Is someone so confused by what another nation's people were doing, and they were cleaning up the stadium, and when asked why are you doing this, it was Japanese people, and they said, well, because we are in a different country and you have to respect that country. Now I want you to remember that and keep that in mind for what else I'm about to say. Respect the country you're in. So they've gone on, they've cleaned up the stadium, and because it's not their home, think of it as you go into another person's home. It's another person's home. Don't disrespect the person's home, right? Because if you disrespect the person's home, you're going to get either beaten up or you're going to get the hell out of it, right? So to move forward, a lot of people have been questioning their views because they are so different to the Western world. Now, I personally cannot understand why people are fighting another country's view and are telling them basically, get on the train and get on board on the 21st century. How about no? How about you stay out of another country's business? How about you respect another country's laws, religions, and beliefs? And how about before you try and tell another house how to run it, fix your own? The funny thing is you have the entire Western world beating them down for the LGBTQ and their beliefs on the LGBTQ. I know there's more words there. I can't know, the LGBTQA++. There is more to it. But if their beliefs don't align with our beliefs, then we should bash them. Isn't that a bit hypocritical on how we say everyone has the right to think what they want, say what they want? The free speech. It's kind of funny to me that a lot of people are commenting and having their say for a country that, one, they do not live in, two, they do not pay taxes, to three, they have no say. But yet they will try and have a say because they say it's inhumane. The one thing I find funny is instead of questioning the country's beliefs, why don't you speak to the country's people? Do they have a problem with the laws? Do they have a problem of how things are run? Do they believe that they should change their whole culture and belief system? Do you know how long it took for our own cultures to change? Now you want a culture that's been there for 1,000 years. Culture, belief, religion's been there 1,000 years. You want them to change like that just to fit your narrative. The funny thing is, Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the UAE, a majority of the whole Middle East is majority Islamic. And the funny thing about that is that no one says anything until something's happening there that the Western world is a part of. Again, only speak when it fits your narrative, your social justice warrior narrative. Or now there's an opportunity, there's a platform to speak out and speak how they must jump on our platform, they must jump on our train. Again, I'm reiterate, not your country. You don't live there, don't pay tax, you have no say. It's as simple as that. Let's have a look at things that have been happening there. Because the football's there, Palestinians have been refusing to speak to Israeli journalists because of what's going on there. But let's have a look at the Qatar fans that are all there. They don't seem fazed. They seem happy. Let's look at the people. You question the country, yet aren't asking the simple question, are you as the people happy? Unfortunately, we've seen what happens in that side of the world when people aren't happy. When people decide that enough's enough and they finally start to take action. And by that I mean Iran. So they've shown clearly within that part of the world that they're not afraid to stand up. Ask the Qatari people what they think. Don't question the country's beliefs. Don't question the country's ideas and ideologies. Don't question the country's religion. They've been like that for thousands of years. You say it's inhumane, but I'm not hearing stories of Qatari destroying their own people, hurting their own people. They have a very strict religion. Yes, it doesn't line up with what I believe in. I believe everyone should just be happy who they want to be and shouldn't be discriminated against. But because I feel like that, I'm like, well, then won't go there. I won't go. If I feel so strongly about it, I'm not going to go to Qatar. It baffles me. People want to argue about another person's house and how households run, but yet don't see in their own household that they're falling apart. I'll give a pure example. In South Africa, we got many issues within our house in South Africa. But no, we want to jump on the bandwagon because it fits our narrative. There is now a platform to speak, so let's speak. Why don't you just keep quiet? Why don't you just not say anything? Right? Because now that's the biggest story. When the biggest story should be how they got the World Cup and how they built it. I'm more worried the fact that migrant workers got forced to work there by taking away their passports, got forced to work to literally bones, that thousands of workers had to die for World Cup just so we can enjoy the end of an era World Cup. Oh, but no. Because that doesn't fit our narrative. That doesn't fit our social justice warrior narrative. That's not a platform to speak on the realities. What Qatar has done is inhumane on how they built the World Cup. Poor working conditions, poor accommodation, little to no pay, taking away your passport so to force you to stay and you'll never get it back. Just imagine the migrant workers, they're all excited. They get to be part of making the FIFA World Cup, the end of an era World Cup, happen in a place that has never happened. Imagine that. But no. The biggest story is Qatar must get with the 21st century. Sorry. I'm coughing at the bullshit. Qatar is its own country. We keep saying we one world, but yet forget we still divided. Yet forget that if we were really one world, we wouldn't have things like borders. Every country has their way of running things, and no country's the same. No person is the same. We want people to be so together and so one and one-minded. We forget that what we praise is uniqueness and not copycats. I couldn't care how Qatar runs their countries and what their thoughts are because I don't live there. I don't work there. I don't pay taxes there. I'm not part of decision making there. It would be a different story if I was. So maybe stop trying to force people, stop trying to force a country to follow your ideology, to fit your thinking because it doesn't match yours. The best way I can tell you this and tell you to not do that is simply this. Go have a look at world history. Every time another country try to force country to follow their ideology, their belief system, everything. It led to war. I'm not even going to say the person's name, but you just got to go back a couple years. World War II rings a bell. I'm not even going to say the person's name, but understand that to try and force another country to follow your belief system because it matches your narrative, matches what you think, is idiotic. It would be a different story if we had no borders, if we were all just one, but we're not. We're all unique, we're all different, we all have different ways of thinking. And a country, a place, a people that have been following a religion, a belief system, and ideologies for thousands of years and expecting them to change like that is stupid. However, I wouldn't care if you jumped on the bandwagon. In fact, I would commend you and I would join you on the bandwagon if these places brought in a structure that let you kill people if they didn't follow, right? Killed people. Saying, are you protesting against me? I'ma kill you. Oh, you're a woman and you're having thoughts? I'ma kill you. Because guess what? That's happening in Iran, but we aren't speaking enough about that. There is not enough news on that. Not enough sanctions. The West isn't doing anything. Oh, but the West want to jump in on what Ukraine and Russia are doing. Where's the same actions taken there being put on Iran? Because that entire state is literally collapsing. Well, guess what? That also fits a narrative for social justice warriors. That, in fact, fits a better narrative. Yeah, people are speaking about it, but it's not the West hasn't done anything to try and calm it, to jump in. The way the West loves to jump into every damn issue. But look at this one now. Qatar's people don't seem to be in uproar about the way the country's run. I don't see many people in uproar in the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar. I see them at a World Cup now. Laughing, jumping, enjoy. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. They created photos, memories that are that will last a lifetime for these people. So before you question the country's belief system, ideas, start asking what the people think. We keep failing to understand that we don't have a say. But the biggest way to bring a say on a situation is to ask the people involved. If you truly feel that a light needs to be shined and shone on Qatar on the way they run their country, let the people speak. Get the people to speak. Anonymously, non-anonymously, however you get them to speak. Because we've seen what happens. If the people start speaking, you start to see the truthness, the reality of it. So just calm down. Because again, I'm going to say this. You don't live there. You're not a citizen there. You don't work there. You don't pay taxes. You have no say over that. I get it. We can all have the idea that, everyone should be loved as one and there should be this unity kind of thing. But unfortunately, there isn't that. And be careful on forcing your ideology of what is normal in the 21st century onto another country. Because again, I repeat, world's history has shown what happens. It's literally happening right now. So bring it down a peg, and instead of arguing about how another country runs their stuff, argue about the fact on how Qatar got the World Cup, how FIFA is just absolute scum, and start asking where the ethics of FIFA is, and start questioning how the World Cup was bought more. Because after this World Cup, here's the reality, the sad reality. When this World Cup's done, no one will be questioning Qatar anymore. There'll be barely any stories on it. No one will be speaking on it because it's done. But the one thing that should be still questioned and gone after once this World Cup's done is FIFA on the fraudulent behavior of letting this World Cup happen. Then Qatar needs to be taken a task on how they built the World Cup. But no, it won't happen. I want it to happen and I hope it does happen. But everyone's narrative that's shifted to how Qatar run their country and their beliefs is somehow more important than that. But this story of how they run their country beliefs drops down, never gets spoken about again. Wake up, people. Stop forcing people to follow an idea. Teach people to respect other people's ideas and respect their differences 100%. And do not get physical. Understand that this person believes this way and respect that as it should be. But I'm not gonna tell a person to stop believing what I'm believing, because what I believe is right. What I believe is the right way. We've been told what is going on in the world and that everyone must be one up. We've been told this right thing. I feel it's the right thing, so I'm a believer in it. But I'm not gonna force it. If someone doesn't want to adhere to the LGBT, I'm not gonna hate you. I'm not gonna. You are who you are. You are literally being unique and believing your own thing. I'm not gonna tell another person that. I'm gonna tell a person how I feel, but I'm not gonna tell the person that they must now follow me. Otherwise, they're a bigot and they're just an absolute arsehole. But you can damn well believe I'm not gonna tell another country how to run their country, because again, I do not live there. I'm not a citizen. I do not work there. I do not pay taxes there. I have no say. It's the end of an era World Cup. That's what I'm excited about. Right? And I can't wait to see what unfolds with this World Cup. There's many things going on, but I'm going to watch the World Cup for football, because at the end of the day, sport and politics do not mix. They do not go together. It can be a platform for change, but the two don't mix. So I'm excited for the rest of it. Hope you guys are excited for the World Cup. If you are, let me know. If you're not, let me know as well. Have you been watching? Who do you think's going to win the World Cup? That's what I want to know. But more importantly, let me know what your thoughts are surrounding the entire World Cup. I don't think it should be there, but also don't think we should be telling another country how to run their country and if they should be jumping on board in the 21st century. Because the one thing I can say, they more in the 21st century than us. All you got to do is look at the country. All you got to do and see the architecture, the engineering, the infrastructure. They're miles ahead of us. Fix things at home before you try and fix another person's home. And remember your own history. But let me say, guys, that's all I got to really say about that. I know it's a lot, but I want to hear your thoughts. Let's have the conversation. Like I said, let's just have a conversation. Let's not get rude with each other. Let's have a conversation. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, you know what to do. Otherwise, subscribe for more videos. But that being said, I'll check in the next.